Do we have
the other clam?
Everything's on the ground.
I say fuck it.
Your call, Uncle Jesse.
Next time, always clam. Better luck next time.
Jeg heter Julie, og jeg skal kjøre på tvers av Canada I en bil drevet av frityrolje for å undersøke Statoils oljesandvirksomhet. So the coolant level's good, there's no leaks anywhere.
Like, let's say your filter's clogged and you're running okay for a while, but then the oil can't flow enough through to give you the extra power you need. Mm-hmm. You don't have an extra filter here? No.
We do, yeah, we do have an extra filter. I think that if the filter's clogged in 4 days use, that's because our oil's bad.
Mm-hmm.
Are you up for the test?
I'm up for the test, let's go.
Nå har vi skiftet filter på oljetanken, og så har vi tømt hele tanken for den oljen vi tror skitten, og så måtte vi ned under bilen og tømme slangene for luft. Pretty clean oil?
Yeah. There we go. Perfect.
Done. Så det nesten like spennende som første gang. Go. And we are on veggie oil. That means it's working.
Sweet.
So our problem was the oil. It wasn't clean enough.
Yeah, I guess our filter was clogged then.
Yeah.
So we need to choose our oil wisely.
Yeah. Right. Nå målet vårt å komme til prærien, hvor vi skal lære litt mer om forholdet mellom urbefolkningen og de europeiske settlerne som kom hit på 1800-tallet. Det også på den kanadiske prærien at mange av de norske settlerne kom.
There was a belief that this was an empty land when Europeans came here, and therefore they had the right to settle, despite the thousands of years that indigenous peoples had occupied the lands and used the lands.
And so the lands reserved for Indians were to protect us from the settlers. And it was an isolation policy that was designed to erode our culture. But since we did not ask, our ancestors did not ask for this kind of education, the RCMP forcibly removed children from their homes and they kidnapped them. They were physically, mentally, and sexually abused, and their spirituality as well.
It wasn't until the 1950s that First Nations were allowed to re-engage in their cultural practices. It was illegal before that. First Nations didn't have the right to vote until 1960. If they got a university education, they lost their indigenous status. I think in the current day, we haven't moved far away from those practices. And until we redefine that relationship, we're going to continue to have challenges in Canada.
Yeah, this is like different from everything else we've had. Like this looks amazing.
Yeah, that's it.
Nå vi I Thunder Bay. Vi har vært ute på raid for å finne olje på restauranter I området.
I told her, I'm like, I think this one is cloudy. She's like, we can still use the top of the oil.
Ja, vi får vente og se hvor mye det blir da når vi får filtrert det, men det burde I hvert fall holde I et par dager.
Perfect restaurant. Oil is good. They have a ton of it. And they are willing to give it to us. And they are friendly. And they speak French.
Nå vi på vei til urfolksreservatet Sandy Bay for å besøke dem.
Oh, this is Sandy Bay Radio. Right now we're having media bingo. And believe me, today is the busiest day of the month. Any amount of money is good to them because it's hard to come by in this reserve. There's no choice but for people to end up on welfare because there's no jobs in Sandy Bay. Our housing is so poor. The walls have holes in them and mold and whatnot. So we're practically living in poverty out here.
Reserves have been funded at a minimum standard for a long, long time, and with the idea that the poverty would be so bad that people would be forced to leave, and that this was going to be their solution to the Indian problem, to drive them off of the reserves by keeping them poor.
Det som interessant jo at konflikten om landområder mellom urbefolkningen og europeerne nå overført. Nå handler det om industrien og urbefolkningen. I Nord-Alberta utvinner de olje på landområdene som tidligere tilhørte urbefolkningen, og det gjelder Statoil også.
You can't just simply tell, a community that's been there forever, hey, sorry, you're going to have to move out of here now and, go down to the city. So it represents a complete disruption, a complete, forced change of their way of life.
I think originally the assumption was Aboriginal rights came from Aboriginal land ownership. So there was Aboriginal land ownership, and any Aboriginal rights sort of derived from that. In Alberta you have a treaty, and so treaty rights are also, it's a trade normally of some of your Aboriginal title, where you surrender some land rights, and you get some guaranteed things in exchange. But the treaties also say the Aboriginal people will have the right to pursue their usual avocations of hunting, fishing, and trapping. And so I think from the beginning they should have been consulted about the development of the tar sands. They should have, if the tar sands were going ahead, been able to negotiate much more significant benefits for those communities, and they should have been in a position to say no if they didn't want the development.
There's people that have told me, well, just move. Move to where? You are part of the land. You are not separate. This is your Mother Earth, and she gives you everything. She nourishes you. She protects you. Without her, you're nothing. And if somebody's giving you that much, you must honor it, love it, protect it. You have your beliefs and values as being Norwegian. Well, that's our values and beliefs, and it's been there since the beginning of time.
Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to your 6:30 Media Radio Bingo. Okay, this evening having 5 games at $200 each and 2 calls for a blackout. First call is for $1,000. Second call for $500.